profitability. Which profit would you rather have in your business? Net profit, bottom line profit. Would you rather have 20% or would you rather have 5%? I mean, the answer is kind of obvious. Like if you're given all else equal, same sales, whatever, you'd rather have the higher profit. Why not? But I think a lot of times the trade-off is not equal. I think maybe, for example, you get to like 2 million a year with a 20% profit, but with the same business, you may be able to get to 10 million a year at 5% profit, which sounds cool. I mean, it's like 400 grand profit in the first scenario. It's 500 grand profit in the second scenario, so you get an extra 100 grand. But I think something else happens is first, you've got all these extra customers. Because if you're doing 10 million a year, 5 times as much sales, you're probably getting 5 times as many customers or somewhere close. That means you have all these customers you can now sell other stuff to. That's one benefit. The other benefit is that second business is probably gonna be harder to compete with because it's gonna be easy to take market share from a 20% profit business, most likely. And so this is, I think, the scenario a lot of us face. And this is kind of how we've built LifeBoost. We're like, hey, I think let's just grow sales volume at first. Let's not be stupid about it. Let's not just burn money if we know we're burning money. But if we think it's gonna pay off long term, let's just grow sales volume as much as possible, and we can always worry about squeezing out profits later. This is exactly what Jeff Bezos did. There'd be times when they'd be launching a new product, and I read a couple books about them, where their accountants would be looking at this, they'd be like, Jeff, this is not gonna make us any money. Like every time we sell one of these, we're gonna be losing money. He's like, it's fine. He's like, we want to grab market share. That was literally from their first shareholder letter in 1997. He says, we're gonna think long term because we wanna grab market share. By doing that, he figured that eventually either they'd be able to charge more or their costs would come down. And so we're not, businesses that have raised tons and tons of venture funding or public money or any of that kind of stuff, so we can't necessarily lose money on every sale, but we can think about how long we're willing to delay gratification on producing high profits on every sale. For LifeBoost, we basically produced essentially no profit for the first year. And I think that was a good move because we reinvested, like our margins look like this. For every dollar we brought in, 50 cents went to product costs and shipping and that sort of thing. And then 45 cents of the remaining amount went to advertising. And that basically left us 5 cents. Charles and I didn't pay ourselves a single dime for the first year, but that allowed us to build this machine that was doing 700 grand a month or something like that in a year, and then us squeezing out a % profit here, % profit there became like no problem. And now the thing runs like clockwork. So we thought we were pretty cool with that. But if you look at Facebook, they didn't sell a single ad for the first 2 years. So we didn't produce any profit for the first year. They didn't produce any revenue for the first 2 years. So when we think we're thinking big, delaying gratification, they waited till they built a platform with tens of millions of users, then they started squeezing out profit. So we probably don't need to be that extreme, but a general tip I would say now, and I wouldn't have said this years ago, is if you're starting out at the beginning, I wouldn't even worry about a net profit in your first year. I would just build up the sales machine. Keep your day job, do whatever you gotta do. It's only a year, it's not that long. Don't worry about net profit in your first year. Build the machine, and then once you're doing millions of dollars a year in sales, it's easy to squeeze out a % here, % there. You're doing higher volume, so your product costs are gonna come down. So that's a strategy for you. So number 5, reinvest profits to build a powerful moat. So these are the 5 steps. Upgrade your product each time you reorder. Upgrade your packaging for quality and differentiation. Use a lower price to win market share, then raise slowly. Associate your brand with positive things people like, and reinvest profits to build a positive moat. And I believe these things compound over time. So there's a story about the invention of chess, where this guy invents chess. The emperor in India is very impressed by this invention of chess. He's like, what do you want? The guy's like, I don't want that much. He's like, just put 1 grain of rice on the first square, 2 on the second square, 4 on the next one, 8 on the next one, and double it each time. The emperor, not so good at math, doesn't understand compounding. He's like, no problem. He's like, I'll do this for you. Then he realizes, he gets halfway through the chessboard, and all of a sudden they have more rice that they now owe this guy than the entire kingdom has. So then the chess guy gets executed, apparently, but we'll forget about that part. So these things, I think, start to compound over time. These small changes and stuff can add up to massive results. So with all this said, this doesn't necessarily mean you move slow, though. I still think you move with urgency. I think one of the best examples that we have about how to run a business, a fast growth business, is Amazon. Like, they're very unique. And so within Amazon, if you read about their stories, he would have a team that's working on a new product, and they'd be like, all right, we think it's gonna take 18 months to do this. He'd be like, all right, cool, you got 6 months. But it didn't mean they sacrificed product quality. It just meant they had to hustle and had to move faster. So I still suggest you move with urgency, but think long-term in the whole process. So this brings us, as we wrap up, to our fourth and final part of the tortoise and the hare story. So they kind of realized after all these 3 different races that they're like, you know what? Maybe it's better if we work as a team. So in the fourth one, rather than racing against each other, they decide to set a clock and see how fast they can go together. So in the first stretch, the tortoise jumps on the rabbit's back, they sprint to the river, they get to the river, the rabbit jumps on the turtle's back, they swim across, and then on the other side again, they reverse, and now they move way faster. So that wraps up our saga of the tortoise and the hare. And so lesson here is, it works even better if we work together. So that's why I'm super excited to have you all here. Thank you very much.